Okay, in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how to model a fedora hat using Blender 2.58. So this is the end result. Okay, this is a hat which I've done earlier, which started out as a 8-sided cylinder. So in this tutorial, you're going to learn how to use the mirror modifiers, some basic mesh modeling tools, and of course the mirror modifier, and using a technique known as subdivision modeling. Okay, so let's get started. Let me just reset the scene. Okay, we're going to get rid of the default cube. So with the cube selected, okay, you can press X to delete it. And also I want to increase the size of the mini axis here. So I'm going to go to File, Preferences, and then I'm going to increase the size of the display mini axis. You can find this menu under the interface. So under the display mini axis, I'm going to increase it all the way to 64. I'm going to bump up the brightness a bit, and then I'm just going to close this. Okay, so now I can see the orientation. Okay, next I want to create a 8-sided cylinder. So I'm going to press Shift A, then go to Mesh, and then select Cylinder. Okay, if you go to the left column of the Object Tools, you can see at the bottom here, the number of vertices is 32. We want to reduce that to 8. Okay, so now we have a 8-sided cylinder. So now what I want you to do is to middle mouse click and drag and orientate the cylinder in such a way that you try your best to match the orientation as I can. Basically try to match as closely as to what you're seeing now on this tutorial. So then next thing we want to do is we want to remove half of this cylinder. So to do that, we need to press the Tab key to go into edit mode. Okay, in order to see what we are selecting much clearly, we're going to switch to shade wireframe mode. So press Z. Okay, so now I can see through the mesh. And then I'm going to press A to deselect. Okay, and I'm going to change the selection mode to face selection mode. So you press Control Tab and then select face. And then I'm going to use I'm going to show you two different methods of selection. You can hold down to Control and left mouse click and drag to use the lasso method to select half of the faces. Or you can press B to go to border select, left mouse click and drag. Start from the outside and drag until you select half of it and release. Okay, so these are a couple of ways you can use to select the faces. And then you press X to delete away the faces. Okay, so you should end up with a shape looking like this, alright? And in shaded mode, this is what it looks like. Okay, I'm going to press Z again, go back to wireframe mode. Okay, another thing you want to do is you want to get rid of the faces at the base here. So you can individually select them, holding down the Shift. Or you can use the C selection tool, which is more like a paintbrush. So you can left mouse click and drag and paint over the faces you want to select. Or you can use another method where I have switched over to the vertex mode by Control Tab, vertex mode. Select the central vertex here, and then you press Control number pad plus to grow the selection. Okay, if you don't have a number pad, you can select the central vertex here. You can go to Select and More. Okay, so now it becomes a grow selection, and we want to delete away the faces here. So you press X and select the faces option. So this is the starting point of the fedora hat. So right now I'm middle mouse clicking and dragging so you can see what it looks like. So make sure that your orientation follows mine so you can use this mini axis as a guide. So the next thing we want to do is we want to apply a modifier so that we can mirror this this shape on the other side. So in order for this to work again, you need to make sure that it's oriented in the same way as mine. So move your cursor to the properties tabs here and move your cursor over one that says modifier with the icon that looks like a spanner tool. So click on it and then click on the add modifier option and select mirror. Okay, by default, the mirror is always at the x-axis. That's why I'm insisting that you try to follow as much as possible the orientation of my view. Okay, so right now you can see there's another half that's being mirrored, and if I select one of the vertices here and move it, okay, pressing G to move it, the other side also moves along. Okay, so this makes the modeling more efficient because we only need to model half of the hat. Okay, so at the same time, I like to turn on clipping. Okay, if you never turn on clipping, this is what happens. If I select all by pressing A a couple of times, okay, until it turns to orange, you press G to move it, you'll notice that the center doesn't stick together. I'm going to right mouse click so it snaps back to place, and I'm going to left mouse click to turn on clipping in the modifier section, in the mirror modifier. So now if I press G to drag and move, you notice that the center is now stuck together. Right, so this is what I want. Okay, next we want to add more geometry. We're going to insert a couple of edge loops. Okay, you can insert the edge loop by pressing Ctrl R and then moving the cursor over the edge which you want to cut across. So edge loop only cut across four-sided adjacent faces. So once you're ready to cut, you can left mouse click to cut it. But I want to cut more than one line here, more than one edge loop here. So while it's still pink in color, the line is pink in color and it's not cutting yet, you roll your middle mouse roller up once and it increases to 2. If you roll it more, it's going to increase the number of cuts, but I'm not going to cut so many times. I only need to cut 2 times. So when you're ready to cut, just left mouse click once. Okay, so now I've effectively cut the vertical section into 3. Okay, so now I also need to cut these triangular faces so that I have enough geometry to create the area where you grab the fedora hat. Okay, so I need to select the faces I need to cut. So I'm going to press A to deselect the bottom faces. And right now I'm in my vertex mode. Okay, my vertex selection mode. So I can select the central vertex again, and then I can press Ctrl number pad plus to increase the selection. So the knife tool will only work on selected faces, or at least it will work better with the selected faces. So in order to make your cut a bit easier, you can switch over to the top view by pressing 7 and then pressing number 5 to switch to orthographic view. Okay, so to use the knife tool, you need to press on the keyboard the K key, holding down to the K key, okay, and then left mouse click and drag to cut the section like this. And now you notice they have a new set of options for the knife cut. So instead of cutting exact, I'm going to change over to midpoints. Okay, sometimes there might be some errors. Okay, I'm going to show you a potential error. So let me undo this. If you start your cut too close to the edge here, okay, and then you try to select midpoints, okay, sometimes this vertex will get stuck to the edge here. So if that happens, you just undo and recut again. Okay, so now I have my extra loop cut that goes around here. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to flatten this hat a little bit. So I'm going to press A a couple of times so that all the subcomponents are selected. Then I'm going to press S. Okay, S is a shortcut key for scale. Okay, but if I just press S without pressing anything else, everything is going to scale uniformly. What I want to do is I want to scale along the Z axis. So I'm going to press Z. So now it's scaling along the Z axis. Now if you're not used to this type of scaling, you can always use the scale manipulator and then click on the scale manipulator to scale it down. So essentially I want to just scale it down until it looks like this. Okay, next we want to create the rim of the hat. So we need to select the bottom edge here and then extrude it out. So I'm going to press A to deselect. And although I'm in vertex mode now, I can use a selection method to select the edge loop here. Okay, rather than holding down the shift and individually selecting these vertices to select the edge, okay, you can hold down your Alt key and just right mouse click on the vertex here, and instantly an edge loop will be selected. Okay, so the Alt and right mouse click selection method, you can use it to select edge loops, okay, on virtually any type of subcomponents. You can even use it to select faces, okay, by holding down Alt, right mouse click, so you can select a face edge loop, okay, or a face loop rather. So I'm going to switch back to the edge, and I'm going to press A to deselect, and then I'm going to hold down to Alt, right mouse click, so now the bottom edge is selected, and I'm going to press E to extrude. So if you press E to extrude right now, I'm going to press E once, you'll notice that a section is now being extruded, and when I move my cursor, it follows wherever the cursor goes. If I left mouse click right now, this is where the extrusion is going to end, but this is not where I want it to be. What I want this section to do is to snap back to its original location, and to do that you just need to right mouse click once, and this extruded edge has now jumped back to its original location. Okay, so there are a couple of ways to extrude, or rather to make the rim out. The previous method which I use is to just scale it out, okay, but the problem with scaling is that you end up with a rim that is longer on both ends, and you have to manually tweak it or scale it to get it to look right, and the edges are not radiating as evenly as I want. So this is not the method I prefer now. So I'm going to undo, okay, undo before I extrude. So I'm just going to press G to make sure that there's no extra edge here. Okay, so I'm going to extrude again by pressing E, okay, and then I'm going to right mouse click so it snaps back to place. Then I'm going to use a tool called Shrink Flatten. Shrink Flatten. Now the shortcut key for Shrink Flatten is Alt S. Alt S. So I press Alt S, and then I'm going to drag my cursor up and down, and you notice that now the edge is being scaled in a very uniform, nice manner until you get it to look like this. Okay, so now the next step you want to do is to move the edge until it is parallel to the bottom rim here. So I'm going to switch over to the move manipulator, okay, and then I'm going to grab on the arrow, the Z arrow, and then I'm just going to push it up. Okay, so if you want it to be completely flat, you need to switch over to the front view and orthographic view. So if you are still not in orthographic view, press number 5 to switch to orthographic view. And now you can see it's not completely flat. I can grab the arrow and then just move it until the rim is completely flat right now. Okay. Now the next step is I want to introduce another edge loop that runs across here. So I'm going to press Ctrl R and then just move the cursor over to the edge here and then left mouse click. Okay, once you left mouse click, the edge will still be sliding along the rim here. So all you have to do is just right mouse click and it will stay at the middle, and at the same time it also plants the edge loop. Okay, so this is essentially the basic shape we need to start with, and from this basic shape you can literally model other types of hats. Okay, you can transform this into a top hat, you can transform it into a trilby, you can transform it into a Stetson or a cowboy hat. Okay, but the hat we want to do today is a fedora, so we need to work with this shape to make it look like a fedora. So the next thing I want you to do is to apply a modifier called a subdivision modifier. Now you can add it here by clicking on Add Modifier and Subdivision Surface, or I prefer the shortcut, okay, by pressing this combination, Control and then plus your top number row key. Now for those of you who are using a laptop, okay, and if you converted your top row button keys to change your views, this will not work. So if you're using a full-size 104 keyboard, yeah, then this method will work. So I'm going to press Control 1, so subdivide once, Control 2, subdivide twice, and Control 3. So now it's subdivided 3 times. And you notice under the modifier panel, besides our mirror modifier, now we have a subsurf modifier being added. So, but if you do not want to add the modifier this way, you can still edit the all the way. Now to delete away the modifier, just move the cursor over to the cross symbol here and click on it. Okay, and then you get back your original shape. So if you want to add a modifier by clicking here, you can do that by clicking and selecting subdivision surface, and you get the same result. But now we're at level 1 subdivision. You can increase it to 2 levels and 3 levels. Now if you're rendering, you can see the rendering is now set at 2. So if you want the rendering to look like this, you also need to increase it to number 3 as well. Okay, so now that we have subdivided the hat, so now it looks like a something like a straw hat. All right, so you can see the faceted look. All right, we need to smooth this. All right, so you can, there are a couple of ways you can do that. Okay, if you press tab to go to object mode, and you look to the left here under the shading column, there's two options. You can change it to smooth. Now it is smooth, or you can change it to flat, which it originally looks like. So we're going to change it to smooth. Okay, now what if you are in the edit mode? Okay, I'm going to press tab to go back to edit mode again. If you're in edit mode, okay, I'm going to press A to select all. You can also change it. You can change the specific parts of the hat to become flat shaded or smooth, simply by pressing the specials key, which is W. So I can say shade flat. So now, see, now it's shaded flat. I press W again, shade smooth. Now it is shaded smooth. And you can also, I'm gonna press A to deselect, I'm gonna press Control Tab and go to face selection mode. You can also select specific parts of the hat, and then you can press W and shade flat. So I'm gonna press A to deselect, and if you look carefully, I'm gonna switch temporarily to the object mode by pressing Tab. You can see certain parts of the hat is smooth, but you come to certain parts, it is flat. Okay, so this will be useful when you're modeling like hard surfaces, or maybe like objects like machinery, where you need a surface to be completely flat. Okay, so I'm going to smooth everything again by clicking on smooth. So if you're in object mode and you do that, it's going to apply globally to the object. Okay, so now I have this basic hat, so I need to tweak it to get it to look like a fedora. So let me go back to the edit mode, and let's start to model. So essentially, we are now at the stage of subdivision modeling. So make sure you switch your manipulator to transform, okay, and you can start to pull up the rim of the hat. Okay. Now for some of you, you find it that it's very confusing to edit the hat in a 3D view. You can always split the view. Okay, there's another way to split. This is the old way of splitting the views. Okay, this is brought over from 2.49. Right mouse click and split. So now you got two views. Okay, and then you can switch this to the side view. So maybe this one will be, it's easier to see here. Press G to move and translate. Then I can press 1 to switch to the front view. Okay, and press 3 again to go to the side view. And then I'm going to right mouse click and select the front vertex. Press G to move it down. And then the outer vertex, I'm going to maybe just bring it down a little bit. Okay, so if you still can't see very clearly, you can press Z to switch to wireframe mode. So you can see the subdivided mesh and then the low resolution mesh. Okay. And let me show you a trick. Right now you can see the wireframe is very thick, very hard to see. If you click on the this button here, okay, object button here, and if you go down to the bottom here, there's a display option that says textured. Okay, and you can, oh sorry, my mistake. Okay, it should be under the modifier here, under the subsurf modifier, there is this optimal display. Okay, if you click on optimal display, yeah, it gets rid of all the wireframe, so you can see a lower res model in wireframe. Okay, so you can actually see through behind and maybe choose a different vertex to model. Okay, so right now what I really like to do is to have this top section to have a more conical shape. Right now it's parallel vertical. In fact, it looks like a bowler hat right now. So I'm going to right mouse click and select the central vertex, and then I'm going to press Control number pad plus. Okay, okay, actually I don't really need to select so many sections. I just need to select the top vertex here, and I'm going to turn on the proportional editing tool. okay, by turning it on. Okay, what this proportional editing tool does is that it will affect the neighboring vertices, okay, gradually. So if I were to move this vertex now, you see that the vertices next to it also start to move. And if I roll my middle mouse, I can increase the range of the region of affection. The region which it affects. Okay, the transformation. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to scale it down. I want to scale down and give it a little bit of taper. So I'm going to press S to scale and just scale it down slightly. And you notice because of my proportional editing, okay, the bottom part is not scaling as fast as the top part. Okay, so now I got my taper. I'm happy with this. I'm going to turn the proportional editing off. Okay, so the shortcut key to do that is just pressing O. Alright, so I'm going to turn the proportional editing off now, and then I'm going to continue to model this. Okay, so I don't need this side view now. I'm going to just join these two windows together. Okay, so let's continue to fine-tune the model. So I'm going to select this particular vertex here, and then I'm going to move it in. Okay, using the transform, I'm going to push it back, and then I'm going to push it down in the z-axis. I'm going to select the central vertices here, and then I'm going to pull it down. So I'm going to nice depression here. Okay, and maybe this vertex going to pull it out. So again, remember, if you can press Z, okay, to go to wireframe mode, so that you can see a little bit clearly. Okay, so I'm going to press Z again to make it go back to shaded. So you can see the head is coming along nicely. I'm going to reduce the size of the rim a bit. Press 7 to go to the top view. Okay, remember, you don't have to use this manipulator all the time. If you want to move, you can just simply press G and then you can move. Okay, and there's also another shortcut which you can just use mouse gestures. Okay, but I'll talk about that probably in another lesson. Okay, so I just want to get it to look nice and round, and you can see the head is almost done. Okay, what is missing now is the definition. If you look at the side here, you can see that it is curved. Alright, and you want to insert an edge loop to make the edge, the transition from the cylindrical section here to the rim a bit more defined. So there are a couple of ways you can do that. You can use a function called creasing. Okay, make go to wireframe mode. You can Alt right mouse click, select this edge. Okay, let me convert this section to the edge. Control Tab, go to edge, and you can bring up an edge function called crease. Alright, let me see whether I can bring it out here. Control E and then edge crease. Okay, so I select edge crease, and then you can notice as I pull further away and the color changes to red, the crease become harder. Okay, let me show you in shaded mode by pressing Z to change back to the shaded mode. Okay, so you notice the edge now is selected. Okay, and I'm gonna press Control E. Now Control E brings up the edge specials. Alright, so I'm gonna choose edge crease, and then you can see that I can control the crease of the edge. Okay, so this is one method of adding definition. Okay, I'm going to undo that. Another method is just simply to add another edge loop. So you press Ctrl R along here. I'm going to add edge loop, and I'm going to plant this edge, and notice as I move the edge down closer to the bottom, it becomes more and more defined. Okay, so now I'm going to use this method, and I'm going to plant the edge here. Okay, so if you have seen a fedora before, you know that most fedoras always have a black band that runs across here. Okay, so now this edge is a little bit high. I want to slide this edge a little bit lower. So I'm going to press A to deselect, press Alt, right mouse click to select the edge here. And if I were to physically move the edge, you notice that it will distort the shape quite a bit. So I'm going to undo. What I want to do is I want to slide it down. So sliding and moving the edge is very different. So I'm going to press Ctrl E, and I'm going to choose the edge slide option. And now you notice that when I slide, it doesn't really affect the shape that much. So I'm going to slide it down slightly because I do not want the black ribbon to be too thick. Okay, so now I'm happy with the position. And what I'm going to do right now is I want to extrude a section out from here. So I'm going to switch to face mode by pressing Ctrl Tab and select face. And I'm going to use the Alt selection method to select this ring of faces. Then hold on to Alt, right mouse click, and then this ring of faces is now selected. And I'm just going to press E to extrude, and I'm going to right mouse click so that it snaps back to its original location. And remember, I'm going to use the tool Shrink Flatten to move it out by its normal so that it appears more consistent. Okay, so press Alt S, and then you just move out the ribbon. Not too much. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, just a little bit. Okay, so you can see here the definition of the ribbon. Besides the bottom here, the top part here is still not very clear. So you can use your edge crease, or for me, I usually like to just add another edge loop, Ctrl R, and then insert the edge loop. And as you see, when I inserted it and I'm sliding down closer and closer to the corner, the definition becomes harder and harder. So now I can see a very distinctive band, okay, sticking out from the model. Okay, if I press Tab to go to object mode, you notice that our hat is pretty much done. But something doesn't look right. Okay, the hat is paper thin. Okay, it's razor sharp. Okay, wouldn't be too safe to wear it. Okay, so we need to add some thickness to it. So in this version of Blender, it has included this wonderful modifier called Solidify. Okay, previously in 2.49, you have to run a script to do the thickness, and the script is a little bit difficult to use. So all you have to do right now is to just add a Solidify modifier, and you look closely at the edge of the hat. Once I apply it, you can see there's some thickness on the hat right now. And if you look, now we have three different modifiers. We have the mirror, we have the subsurf modifier, and we also have the thickness modifier. And if you look at the thickness value here, or rather the Solidify modifier, you can click on this value and drag it left and right and increase the thickness of the hat. So I'm just going to increase it to look like a typical felt fedora. And the best part about this is that if you are not happy and still want to tweak the hat further, you can press Tab, and you can still carry on tweaking the low resolution model, okay, until you are happy with the shape of your fedora. Okay, so right now I'm just tweaking a little bit more until I'm really happy with it. Okay, so I'm pretty much done. So I'm almost there. So right now what is missing is some nice colors. Okay, so let me create a hat that is reminiscent of Michael Jackson's Smooth Criminal hat. So I'm going to click on the material button here, and I'm going to click on the plus new here to create a new material. And I'm just going to click on the diffuse color swatch and give it a slight creamy white color. Okay, just move the white close to a bit of yellow. Alright, and next I want to select this band here, and I'm going to assign it another color. So I'm going to go to edit mode by pressing Tab, and then I'm going to press Ctrl Tab and select the face option, holding down to the Alt key and right mouse click along the band here. So now I can see the face is selected, the face loop is selected. Now I want the entire band to be black, so I want these faces here to be selected as well. So we can use the select grow, okay, select grow to increase the selection, okay, or select more here, or if you have the keyboard, just press Ctrl number pad plus once. Okay, so now you can see the extra faces are selected. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to create a new material and assign it directly to these selected faces. So all you have to do is just click on the plus sign here, add a new material, change this material into a black color, okay, and then just click on the assign button here. And that's it. You have finished making your hat. Now, if you want to use this hat for a game model or for some other 3D applications, okay, remember this hat is not really complete because it has a bunch of modifiers applied to it. So if you want this hat to be a single object, you will have to apply the modifiers. So let's go to the modifiers, and let's start with the mirror. So I'm going to apply the mirror modifier. Okay, once the mirror modifier is applied, it's now changed into a single object with two sides. All right. And for the subsurf modifier, if you were to apply the subsurf modifier, if I go to edit mode, you notice the low amount of faces here. If I were to apply the subsurf modifier, now if you want to apply, you have to be in object mode. So I'm going to switch to object mode by pressing tab. If you apply now, and then you go to edit it, you notice that, oh, the number of faces have increased tremendously. Okay, and likewise for the solidify, if I were to apply it, and now you go to edit mode, you notice that it has a thick layer, and you can see the number of faces you are dealing with now. Okay, so if you want to edit this Fedora hat now, it will be far more difficult than when it has these modifiers. So the good thing about Blender is that we have the undo, so you can press Ctrl Z several times, and then we can bring back the modifier again, and then back to the low resolution model. Okay, so I hope you guys can try this out yourself and make this this hat. Okay, if you're not sure, just rewind the video and then just watch closely at these two windows here and see what kind of keys that I have pressed. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this video, and this is the third version of my Blender Fedora Hat video, and this is the first time I'm doing the Fedora Hat on Blender 2.58. So I hope you like this video and give it a shot.